Manzanita Lake Campground is located in Northern California, inside of Lassen Volcanic National Park. With easy access to a beautiful reflective lake, Manzanita Lake Campground is nestled within a healthy pine forest. Camping at Lassen provided us with enough time to do most of the activities we wanted to do, plus it served as a great home base for other nearby activities outside of the park. Welcome back, my friends, to the almost world-famous Cactus Atlas. On today's episode, we're going to be exploring one of the campgrounds at Lassen Volcanic National Park, named Manzanita Lake Campground. Let's get down with this. All right, we arrived at our site for 3 nights, starting tonight, B47, here at Manzanita Lake Campground, and it is absolutely gorgeous here. Right off the bat, I've fallen in love. Love at first sight. So far, I'm really loving these pine trees and these forests that you get to camp in. It reminds me a lot of camping at like the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, for example, although these pines seem a little bit larger. I don't know what kind they are, and I don't know if they smell. So maybe that's the first thing we should do, is do the smell test. If you've never watched our show before, I have a habit of smelling ponderosa pines in my home state of Arizona because they have this really sweet, fragrant vanilla butterscotch smell that is just hard to describe unless you smell it. It's so good. And it varies how strong they smell at different times of the year. I don't know what this one is though. Let's see if it has a smell. Gotta tip the hat backwards. It kind of does actually, but not vanilla. It's more of like a piney smell, like what you would think when you say piney, I guess. So, well, the first order of business, as always, is to give you a quick tour of my campsite. Once again, site B47 on the B loop. There are multiple loops here at Lassen, and we'll get down to that later, but this is what I got. Really good sites here for tent campers is one of the first things that I noticed. Very level ground, very shaded by these beautiful pines, as of yet unknown what variety. This is where I decided to put my tent. You could see many people put their tent in that spot, and it's a great spot. You got a little alcove of pine trees here, and then it's very flat, level ground. So I was very happy with how this one worked out for that. As I always say, it's hard looking at the national park site. They usually have a picture or two that make it impossible to discern what you're getting into. It's really hard. And that's why I started doing these videos, is trying to give at least a better look at some of these. But it's going to be hard to cover this one based on quantity, I tell you that. All sites here come equipped with a fire ring and my favorite, whoa, this heavy attached grate, and you can tell someone's made a fire very recently in there, and there are no fire restrictions. From what I can see, usually they have a sign on top of this if you're not supposed to, so I think that means we could use charcoal, and maybe I can buy some firewood at the camper store that we're going to visit here shortly. All sites seem to come with a picnic table, but different variety. I got a wooden one, but this site has one of those gigantic concrete ones, so I don't really have a preference, to be honest. I don't really hang out at the campsite that much. I don't have time, but I don't think that would matter to most of you unless you have a cover for the table. I find the clips that come with them don't fit on those concrete ones because they're too thick. This one, however, tablecloth would work. With one of those red and white checkered ones is what I'm thinking. The plastic ones would fit on here with no problem. And if you haven't noticed by now, there's another feature here, food storage lockers. But this park has a different policy than any other park I've stayed at so far. I'm sure there are many with the same policy, but of course this is a very active area for bears. I believe black bear is what you're dealing with, and the sign says they're active both day and night. The different thing here is oftentimes you have a choice. You can leave your stuff in a locker or in your car. I always opt for my car because these things sometimes are kind of dirty and dingy, and I always don't want ants or something to get into it. Not that they would. Never really tried or verified what would happen. But here they insist that you put your stuff in a locker, including like your shampoos and soaps. And I read on their website you can get fined. So they don't want to have you leave it in your car, maybe for your benefit, because a bear could really scratch up your car. Overall though, a very beautiful site. I'm very pleased But I'm always honest, and I do have one gripe, but you should know what you're signing up for when you come to a national park campground usually, and that's in the area of privacy. I would say privacy is not horrible. Like this site next to me, there's enough trees and things obstructing the view. There's the folks across the street, you know, they're fine. I don't think I'm gonna be bothered by that. There's some people even over there. Nobody's in there yet, but if they come, they're pretty far away. It's this that's a little too close for comfort on this side. So let's go see what I'm talking about. If I'm sitting here at the table eating dinner and there's like a family with kids and stuff playing, you know, it's close quarters for that, for an old fogey like me. But you could see the site's right next to mine, and usually they're not that close together here, so that's the only thing that I'm not enthused about. Chances are, whoever this is may not even show up. The site in question is on the first half of the loop, B7, and you can see mine, B47, through the trees over there. This is a really short driveway, so this is really probably more for tent campers. There's that giant table I told you about, the thick one that's impossible to clip anything to. But just like my site, it has the same amenities, the bear locker, table, albeit concrete, and that fire ring. And then I would say for this site, B7, I'm assuming that's either B5 or B6 next door. So that one's a little close too, but it's really this interaction here that's not the greatest. And you know, you got sight lines to other people. So if people aren't nosy and they mind their own, these situations aren't horrible. You can only complain so much though when you come to a national park campground, to be honest, because I mean, this is what you get. You do get a beautiful setting, but they are efficient about how they spread things out most of the time. So, you know, when I book these sites, you really can't tell from the pictures what you're getting into exactly. So I take a chance, and I didn't have much of a choice. Only 3 consecutive nights in Northern California, apparently, at my campsite. So being that this is kind of the revived classic formula for campground episodes, I don't know if we ever really change that much, but focusing more on the campground than surrounding activities maybe is a better way to put it. I do want to walk around before people start getting here in case it does fill up, so we can look at some vacant campsites and hopefully give you some recommendations. As I always say though, I do respect people's privacy, so a lot of these are already set up. So when I can, I try to get shots of rigs and stuff in these and point out long driveways, but I do keep an eye out for tent campers. That's my thing. Well, I guess apparently on this episode, which I probably said this online and I just didn't pay attention, there are 4 loops here, A, B, C, and D, and C and D are closed on September 5th at noon, so probably a seasonal closing, or they're doing work. They're clearly doing work over here and chopping trees down, some big ones too. Look how thick some of those are. They still have moss on some of them. Because I'm on the B loop, and because I don't know if I have it in me to walk every single site right now, we're going to focus on my loop, the B loop, the second of the 2 loops that are open right now. So the first couple sites, I presume 1 and 2, B1 and 2 are already snagged up. And that one on the left looks like a good tent camper site. And this one has a nice long curved driveway, and you can see a van comfortably parked in there. A lot of varying campers and stuff you're gonna get to see on this episode. Here we have B2, so I don't know what that one was over there. I wonder if that's one of the ones in the 40s and it's not off this main loop, so let's recalibrate. This is 1, and then 2 is on the right, and they just kind of go back and forth, so it's not like odds on the left, evens on the right. It just bounces back and forth. So this is B2. Little slanted in there, but if you're in a camper you'd be okay, but still a fine site. B3, you can see, not too dissimilar from my setup really, but nice and shady. They comfortably got that teardrop trailer in there, no problem. Then you've got site 4 over here, all occupied, so we can't really check them out. And then the first vacant one is up my way. You can actually see my blue tent, the Coleman, with darkroom technology in the background over there. And B5 is also reserved. You can get a small camper or something in here, but not a Class A. obviously. But you know, the same setup, you know, you've got your standard amenities, and this one has beautiful shade. Mine's a little bit more in the sun than this one over here, so if shade's important to you, this one's not bad. Slightly slanted as you go back that way, so I know you hear me talk about slanted campsites, and it makes a difference. Even the slightest slant can make for awkward sleeping depending on how you're set up. And 6 across the street is occupied, so we'll continue. We already looked at B7. That's the one that I was griping about the privacy. And here's B8, another one that has a pretty short loop driveway, but good to get a, you know, moderately sized camper or something in here. And now we can actually go look at another one. My guesses on the other side are the A loop campsites, so we're not far from A. And just, you know, perusing through here, you see a lot of little buildings, which are the restrooms, and they're very nicely spread throughout this whole campsite, so you won't have any problems finding a restroom. I like this site a lot, actually. The privacy's not horrible, but you could put your tent back here, and you've got really nice flat ground right there, and you've got lots of trees. And the spacing between campsites is very nice here, so this one kind of stands out as, I would prefer this one even over the one that I got. So this is B8. Shortcut loops to cut through if you don't want to go through the whole thing, but here's another vacant one. It's looks like it's a handicap site, B9. And these are usually located right next to the restrooms, and they usually have paved areas. This one doesn't appear to, but there is a concrete path leading to the restrooms. So I think that's why they call this an accessible site, because you could, you know, you got a pavement all the way to get to where you need to go down there. Now it's probably a good time as any to go check out one of the restrooms. My favorite part of the episode, the one that I'm paranoid I'm gonna have someone walk in on me. For whatever reason down here, it looks like they've got 2 vault toilets plus the restrooms that have the running water and such. I have been in one, so my assumption is they all have, if they're brown like this, they have running water. So let's see what we can find. What are these? Those are like single bathrooms, I guess. Oh, I like it when they have these. They're just unisex bathrooms, and they're just nice because you can kind of do your thing in here and have some privacy. So I love when they do these, the single ones. Let's see if they have any power in here. I don't see an outlet in this bathroom, but basically very clean toilets. And there is lighting, there's electricity too. Because I've run into that where it's dark in the middle of the night sometimes. Here's one of the main restrooms here at Lassen at Manzanita Lake Campground. Me as always. And my observation is they're very clean restrooms for a campground. I've not seen anything. I've been in a different one. This is my second one today. And my only recommendation is these lights are kind of dim and they could be a little bit brighter. But other than that, restroom checked off. I don't know why I always want to peek in these, but it's part of the experience. So you want to know what you're getting into. For the people that ask about it, I don't see any outlets for electronics. Like a lot of people like to charge their batteries and stuff in these. And I do not see, unless I'm overlooking it, they do not, at least in this bathroom. If I see one, I'll let you know though. All right, another successful bathroom tour here on the Cactus Atlas where I didn't have anybody walk in on me. So now we're coming upon a lot of reserved people that have actually shown up. I seem to be in the section where all the non-showers are, which is good so far. We're back here, we're back on 10. Another nice little campground suitable for something like that. And then 11, you see some fellow tent campers back there. Both of these sites. Site 12, also not occupied, but you can kind of see some of the privacy there. There's another camp behind there where you can, if you were hanging out, you'd be pretty close there. With more tent campers, I'm pleased to see that. And then site 13, right here, really tiny driveway. Get a teardrop in there or something, but once again, good for tent camping. You got plenty of flat ground here in 13, and I don't think you would complain. Maybe just a little tight quarters with your neighbors is the main thing, but that seems to be a theme. And then site 14, another one with a curved driveway, and this one gets 2 picnic tables, it looks like. What did they do to deserve 2? So I think for a lot of these you get the idea. What I think I'm going to do from here is just kind of focus on some that stand out, or if I see something special, I'll call it out. I do want to look at B20 here, another one with a very curvy driveway, so I'll probably get some kind of a rig in here. But the thing I like about these in the back is that they don't have anybody behind them, no other loops. So the benefit of this one, B20, is it's gigantic. Probably one of the biggest sites with the most space to put a tent out of all the ones we've seen on the B loop. I don't know where they consider the end of the campsite, probably back there where that fallen tree is approximately, but if you want privacy, there's your closest neighbor there. And then on this side you do have some people across the street, a lot of groups camping. I'm noticing these vans showing up, and then they have they'll throw like 10 tents in a campsite. You could see more over there, so it's probably some kind of tour groups, which I'm glad they're back here because they can be loud. I would say on the B loop, this one's calling to me as my favorite of the sites so far, mainly just because of your backyard. You get all of this open space back here. I know we started a little rating system on these a long time ago, and I kind of stick with it and then I don't. But if I were to go back to that, my rating system of number of cacti, 1 to 5, I would say just based on relative to other sites, this one's, I'd say a 5 in the context of what we're seeing. I wouldn't say it's a 5 of all time, but within the context of the campground, it's a nice one. And then next door here is its neighbor, which looks like it's 22, short driveway next to that one, but somebody put logs here for everybody to sit around the campfire. It's interesting, I guess patrons probably do that. But once again, this one has, I guess I didn't notice this when I was filming that they are close to here, but they're kind of tucked away back here. So 22, I would say, like for me, I would choose this one over the one that I have. And if I use the same criteria that I used on the previous site for this one, I would say just because the front there and not being able to go back as far, we'll give this one a 4 out of 5. And then once again, the one there, I think that was B20, we gave that one a 5. Mainly just based on the criteria that you can get further back. And I assume it's permissible to put your tent way back there if you wanted to, although it's slightly sloped. And then there's B24, another short driveway, but another spectacular. All of these sites back here I think are the best, except here you're starting to get a little crowded. I mean, these are close together in succession if I'm using the bear lockers as an indicator. But I mean, looking this way though, and you've got pretty good privacy on this side. It's really across, and over there that kind of could use some more sight lines blocked, but I would give this one, man, this is tough. I almost have to go with a 4 on this one too, just because of the shade. And you know, you could put your tent back a little ways to, you know, get a little further out from people. So we'll give this one a 4 too. And I imagine soon we'll start to see Loop C campsites behind others. But for now, Site 25, another one. You know, I mean, it's tough because right here is a problem, a big problem. This is way too close for my comfort. I'm just kind of thinking, like, what would I give these? Because it's getting more exposed here, but you still have the background there, so it's hard to say. I don't know if I like this rating system anymore, but I would say, you know, probably in 3 territory, just because you know, the winning factor is the backyard, but the sun exposure and everything else is kind of bringing the score down a bit, especially here at Site 32. And maybe the most exposed site of them all is Site 32, and it's hard to knock it because of the background, but I would say out of all of these, since Site 20 that are on this back And just because of the exposure on 32, it's a little much for me to do. I'd still put it in the 3 territory just because of the flatness in the back, but not my favorite due to the sun exposure. And B35 here, another reserve site. I feel like we're neglecting the center because all of them are taken, but this one's got a little hideaway to it. If there's nobody too close on this side, this might actually be a really good one, I would say. Well, it is, and it's no better or worse than others, but you know, you could see back there the big group, so not bad. And now we come up on 34 and 33. I'm confused at how this works. This sign says 33. Where would you park? Because you got this big loop here, and that's site 34. So I'm not sure what the parking situation is here. It's confusing. But regardless, let's go take a look. Maybe this would be great if you have a small family or group that wants to, you know, group up. I would say, if anything, I'm digging what I see, but I would describe this as confusion. This would probably be site, is this site 33's table, or is it site 34's table? Because technically it seems closer to 34. I'm gonna guess it's 34's table. There's the fire ring, but then for whatever reason, 33, which maybe the parking lot's one of those. Maybe they're considered walk-in for camping. But 33, if it wasn't for 34 being right in front of it, this would be primo. You're in the shade and you're really far back. I would even say it's a tough call, but even though site 34 is like right in front of you, you can get so far back here into this beautiful shade that maybe it doesn't matter. Let's turn around and see, you know, because there's more sites right here, so that kind of sucks. But, you know, here's your main living area. Our locker's open, and right on the other side of our locker is the other site. Now that I'm standing over here, though, those trees do create a blocking of the sight line. So other than site 32 folks being over there, you could probably make do. There's a pretty good spacing there. And site 33, I'd say it's for me. I like it. Mainly because I'd be camping back in here. So maybe now we're heading back to my side, and there's a lot more sites booked, but maybe the theme is like the outer side of the loops that don't border another loop are your best bets. So sites 20 through 34 so far meet the bill, other than some of the slight privacy concerns that I pointed out to you already. And now we're starting to get closer to my area, but I just saw wildlife back here on Loop C. There are deer back here. So that's the second deer sighting of the day. We'll see how skittish they are. Sometimes they're really skittish and sometimes they're not. There's another one over there too. I don't know if you can see them very well. I'll try to get closer. They don't seem to mind me too much. It's just taking its time, kind of scratching its chin like our cats. I'm not gonna bother you guys, but what kind of deer are you? You're not like the mule deer that we see all the time. You're not that afraid either. You must be used to people. All of the one in the middle is paying close attention at this point. Let's just see if we can go slowly here. I always keep plenty of distance because I don't like to disturb wildlife, and you're not supposed to. I'm just curious to see how. I was hoping they'd be more skittish than this, but they're walking away. That one's eating bark. Yes, you with your little horns. You little devil, you. How are you guys doing? Want to come hang out with me at my site? All right, they've had enough. We'll see more of you later, I'm sure. Hopefully your bear friends too. Whew, all right, that was a heck of a walk. We just went around the whole loop, and there are a couple more that I didn't really show because there's another big group over there. Same story as what we saw over there, so some kind of camping tour group. But I tell you what, I am starving. I brought a charcoal grill with me on this trip so I could grill stuff. I think the next thing I need to do is there's a camping store down the way. I think they had a gas station maybe, and if not, there wasn't one far from here. So I think I'm gonna go take care of some of those needs, but I'm gonna bring you along with me so we can go check out this campground store and see what they have for sale in there. Time to go. You could see that big group across the way. Whatever group it is, or whatever company that is, they seem to all have the same style tents. So I imagine it's all run. They're like individual tent sizes for people. Alrighty, site 54 was on our right. So that would mean there's 54 sites on the B loop, I think, unless this other one is 55. Actually, that was it. That was, so 54. There's 54 sites total on this loop. And now we'll see if I can remember how to get to the store. Mainly because here's a good time to say this. I have zero cell coverage. Zero. Not one bar, not nothing in this campground. So I also wanted to send Amy a text message to say I'm here, but to let her know she may not be hearing from me very much in the next couple days. And we're already at the campground store and it's still open. Nice. So here's what I was looking for, everything that I need. Right down the street, you got a store, a laundromat, and showers. So I was correct earlier in a different episode when I was saying I really need to shower. Well, hopefully they're operational. So here's the laundromat, which is nice to have if you're traveling a lot like me. A couple out of order machines, but let's see what kind of bags of ice they got here. Looks like they have firewood. They do have, perfect. Those are small 5-pound bags, but they've got lots. And I would say that's pretty decent hours actually, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Very nice. Let's go take a look. Let's take a look and see what the t-shirts look like. They're kind of expensive, 30 bucks, but I dig them. I like those a lot. Got hats. The hats are $32.99 it looks like. Those are cool. A lot more t-shirts too. Probably look up here where you can actually see them. I like the ones with the Vans like that. And then there's a pink one. Kind of a salmon pink. Oh, no way. That is pretty cool. That one's $32.99. And then you have common bear attacks. Clawing, biting, bear hug. Some bear humor. And they've paired it up with hats that match for you. Look at that. This is going to be hard to decide. I like this one. This might be my favorite one. And they got gray and black. Or gray and blue, I mean. Or like turquoise. But that's a handsome looking one. As is that one. I could do either one of those. And these are, let's see, $29.99 is what you're looking at there. And oh, this one's like really retro looking. Man, this is a hard decision. And this one I like a lot too. Oh, and Amy. Man, I don't know. There are some really cool designs here, better than usual. I'm almost digging this one here. I don't see one on display for that, but we'll be back, don't worry. I might be buying 2 or 3. I actually really like these hoodies too. And they're actually a pretty good price, $36.99. Actually, they're not hoodies, or are they? They are hoodies, but they're really thin material. So, like t-shirt thin, $36.99. But I do dig them, and I dig this one a lot. I might be a buyer today. Could use more long sleeve wear for trips like this. And then there's your hoodies. Hoodies galore, and those Spirit jerseys. Anything you could want. And these are pretty reasonably priced. That's 40 bucks, but let's look at some of these that look thicker. What do they want for that? 52. Okay, now we're getting up there in price, but these are nicer. Much nicer. And you got jackets too. Looks like here's the convenience store portion. And they have a little bit of alcohol here. Some cheap beer choices, Bud Light, Budweiser. I know this is probably the most important thing for some of you. And they've got some grab and go wraps and things like that, and sandwiches. And they have this little quick service thing here. So I'm really torn here. Like, the quick service thing might be my best option to get something hot, because I thought they might sell hot dogs or something in there, but they do not. I may buy some firewood. Firewood is $15 a bundle. That's kind of expensive, isn't it? A little surprised I didn't see any meats in there. Maybe I just overlooked them because I was too busy looking at t-shirts. So what I'm gonna do is just put my camera away, and then I'm gonna go in there and take care of some business, figure out what I actually need, and then we'll head back to the camp or see what else we can check out here. Hey, it's the next morning now after I spent a night camping, and I slept like a rock. It was very quiet, very nice campground, enjoyed a campfire, made some hot dogs, and it was all good. This morning I got up and I decided I'm going to eat some real food. Not that hot dogs aren't real food, but not that what I'm about to eat is healthy, but I got a breakfast sandwich here at the camper store at the Lake Manzanita Campground, and I'm going to taste it and tell you if it's worth it. And then I also got myself a cafe, like a mocha, basically. I didn't want regular coffee. I wanted something a little extravagant for once. So let's see how this tastes. All right, so I'm gonna have to do this Dame Drop style, if you know what that means. I'm gonna put on my ghetto nap and rock it to the beat. Anyway, I have this guy. This is the breakfast sandwich. Today, they advertised they have a croissant or a breakfast burrito, and I said, hey, what do you put in that? And they said, oh, we're not making those today. We're making breakfast sandwiches. So it's basically just a egg, sausage patty, or bacon, your choice. I took sausage and cheese, and there's lifting it up, and you can see inside of it. Now for the taste test. It's good. I mean, it tastes like what you would think. I don't think these are fresh baked croissants here, but they taste store-bought. But it's good. It's really good. I mean, how can you get this wrong when you throw a sausage patty, cheese, and egg on a croissant? The answer is you can't. Now, my hopes aren't the highest for this mocha, because that's a campground store, so their coffee is probably not the freshest ever, but let's do the smell test. I smell some mocha. Here we go. Actually, not bad at all. I got the mocha because I usually like to cover some of the coffee flavor if they use cheaper coffee, or not that I drink expensive coffee, but you can tell the difference sometimes if they don't clean their pots, and smaller out of the way places don't really take their coffee as seriously as others. But I can tell you that this exceeds my expectations, maybe because the mocha, and maybe the coffee's good to begin with. I shouldn't knock it until I try it, but hey folks, for you it's been a second, maybe a commercial break, I don't know. But for me it's been like a day, and I have not filmed anything here at the campground. I've been exploring the surrounding Northern California area, making other videos, but I thought I'd check in really quick and kind of give you a quick update. It's been a very pleasant, one of the best camping experiences that I've had. So this campground is high up there, and I'm going to take you on an activity that hopefully seals the deal for you, but it's been a great experience so far. This may make for a super long video, but I've been looking over at this loop C and D and hanging out back here, checking it out, and it's quiet. I don't think I'll get in trouble. So I'm gonna go poking around back there while there's nobody set up. Probably a rare chance. I think what I'm gonna do on this one is do a walkthrough of loop C, but I'm not gonna obsess over every site or else it's gonna get way too long. But I have a question for you guys. Those that watch these videos, the camping videos, the ones that comment and like them, do you watch it more for the camping experience, seeing somebody camping, or do you watch it for the information and seeing it site by site? Because I know there are sites that do that. They take pictures of every site or drive-throughs with 360 cameras. Do you want to see more of that, or do you want to see more of the campground life? Drop a comment, because I'm genuinely curious about that. Anyway, we're at the start of Loop C, and I assume it's going to be more of the same, but off the bat, we're looking at smaller sites. I can tell you that here at C2. And your neighbor, it's like my situation, but even more compressed, so I don't know if I'd like that. C1, now that's a little better. You have the Loop B bathrooms right there. And actually the private restrooms are the ones in the back. That's what I use. There's a men's and women's, but it's one toilet, your own bathroom. So I always make a beeline for that one. But this one, C1, I'm gonna actually state it here. I would camp here. I would put my tent right there. And then, there's no smell or anything. It's all running water, and people really haven't been using this one. It's pretty quiet. So I might consider it, but if you do consider, you're gonna hear flushing throughout the night probably. And here's the point too, where you're gonna mine the opposing loop. Loop B's on the other side where you see people set up. So all of these sites, this is gonna be a loud site. This one right here, C4, it's gonna be a loud and busy site. You're very close to your next neighbor. You see how close these two are? That's C5, and C3 is across the street. I would say no bueno to this then with the bathroom traffic, unless you need to use the bathroom frequently perhaps, and you want to be close to a bathroom. I would say nay to this, unless you're in a rig or something, like then it's a different story. Keep in mind this, I am a tent camper. I've always been a tent camper. I've never even been in an RV. I'm very jealous of those with these campers and RVs. When I see how comfortable they look. And yes, then it makes you want and want and want. Should be pointing this way. But for the time being, I'm a tent camper. So that's who I'm looking out for in these videos more than anyone. And on that note, as for tent campers, just about any site's gonna be fine for you with flat ground, but I am gonna give you a little warning here on Loop C on the inner side. So that would be the entryway, and then it's a one-way loop. It is more slanted in the middle of Loop C than my loop, Loop B. So maybe this is one for tent campers if, just to err on the side of caution. I haven't gone through site by site, but Loop B, as you saw, I think is very level in the middle section. And it's not to say that there's not level sites or somewhat level, but this is on somewhat of a little slope. It seems as we get further in though, like C15, you're probably better suited for a camper or something like that, but a tent absolutely would work. Okay, like I said, I don't have time to go site by site. I enjoy this in a kind of a scary way. I don't know why I enjoy doing this, but some of you have to be the same. There's something about picking the right place to put a tent. And it brings satisfaction. The process of selection is fun. I think it's just something wired in human DNA. Others I don't think care at all. They're just like whatever. And there's something about developed campgrounds. It's kind of in the middle between hotels and primitive camping. You know, it's just something I enjoy about it. It annoys the hell out of me at the same time, you know. I want to do more primitive camping out in the middle of nowhere for sure, but there's just, maybe it's because I have good memories from my childhood of camping in places like this. It's better than a hotel. I decided we're gonna just do a drive-through of Loop A, a very slow drive-through, front-facing camera, but this is one of those ideas that I had if I had GoPros on the left and right windows as I went through there. How would that come out? We'll at least get this part on a drive-through and you'll see it from my perspective, but yeah, this is the right way in. Loop A. Yeah, Loop A, the right side is very slanted. Just to make a note, I can tell that from the car. The middle seems a little slanted too, but we're driving right into the sun, so this is almost a pointless exercise when the sun is shining. I apologize. This is not a good time to do this. I'm looking at A18. It's the back side of the loop, which is what I'm once again interested in. And the story seems very similar to Loop C and B. Back here, nobody in the back to bother you. But yeah, this seems to be on a slant. I almost need to do a double take and make sure that I'm not imagining B being level as it seems to be. Because, yeah, this is just more slanted. As we get up over to the right, there's some level sites, but everything I see in the middle here seems a little slanted. Do you guys see it too, or is it just me? I'm looking at some tents set up there, and they seem, there's level spots in here. I mean, there sure are, but there's not much to complain about. Even when it's slanted, it's a very gentle slant, so don't let me scare you away from doing this. I would happily camp in any of the 3 loops. I would happily camp in any campsite that I've seen today. Like, I mean, certainly there are preferences, but just to be here and plop my roots down in Lassen Volcanic National Park, I mean, okay, let's return to home sweet home, and I might get some food in my belly before our next and last activity on this episode. We're not gonna be looking at campsites anymore. We're gonna go to a nearby lake, Manzanita Lake, and I'm gonna try to see if we can see it around sunset and get sunset pics of Lassen Peak. Okay, my campground buddies, we're so close to the end of the episode, but the best part, perhaps. I'm gonna drive us out to Manzanita Lake and just do a little walk around the lake. I think it's only 1.5 miles long. And I wanna see if the wind's calm enough, maybe we can get some reflections of Lassen Peak. All right, fellow campers, this is Manzanita Lake, close to sunset. Our last destination. What a worthy one. I think I spied a trail here, and I'm trying to figure out where the best views of Lassen would be, where you can get reflections of it, because it's right over there. So I figured nearer to the entrance gate, there's like these pull-offs, and I just pulled off at one, and I'm thinking over on the other side is the where do you want to go. So let's see if we can hustle over there. There's your Manzanita Lake entrance where you would enter the park. On the opposite side of the park from where many others enter, through the southern side. Each moment is fleeting here. So I don't know how successful we're going to be with this endeavor. I have a feeling we're not quite in the right spot. But this spot is so secluded and there's nobody here that maybe it doesn't really matter. We'll wrap around to the other side and see what we can see. What I'm trying to line up is a shot of Lassen Peak right there. And its reflection, and you can see the reflection. I wonder if there's a better spot than this, though. Where does one go, though? I wonder, I think I may have found the spot because there's deer here. I was walking right down here and there's deer. There's one right here and one right there. Sorry guys, I'm here to get sunset photos of Lassen Peak. So if you don't want to be on YouTube, I suggest you leave. I'm not going to bother you though, I promise you. I'm a gentle person. Hate to bother them, but oh my God, I think I found the spot. How could this not be the spot? And there's barely any breeze, just a little bit, but it's awfully still. And it's very close to sunset. And the deer is like right there. It doesn't even care that I'm here talking, filming a YouTube video. It's right on the other side, maybe about 20 feet away from here, doing its thing. There's fish jumping in the water here. I should be facing this way so you can see the backdrop, right? The campground's like right over there on that side, on the other side of this thing. So we're very close to the lake at the campground. It's hard to believe too, if you haven't seen our other videos, that that is a volcano that we're actually seeing, and the thing that's reflecting there, it still has snow on it. You could see the speckles of snow, and the animals are just kind of gathering and watching what I'm doing. I don't know what that fella's got. What did you find there, buddy? It's a big thing that you got there. Ah, paradise. Like the perfect way to end a campground episode, wouldn't you agree? This is what it's all about. Alright friends, this is the end of our campground adventure, Manzanita Lake Campground at Lassen Volcanic National Park. Leaving you with this to remember. Hope you enjoyed it, I hope it was helpful, and we'll be back around sometime soon with another one. See you later, bye.